my gosh!
I thought you were out.
You thought I was out
Doing your errand.
food?
But we're on the air, so we won't tell them what your errand was.
I've been funny ever since I talked to Gilbert Gottfried on your show. I can't explain it.
Osmosis.
I listened to him so closely. Well, he is a master, and
Oh, yeah.
whether you like it or not, he is one of the greatest of all time. And if you want to hear 20 punchlines for the same subject, about the subject and stand back, and if you don't laugh at one, he has 19 more. And fortunately, the night before, I promised myself that I wouldn't try to be funny in front of one of my heroes. I messed up once, but I waited a long time and finally had one worthwhile thing to say, and he actually went out of his way to let me know that he thought it was quite funny. And what a guy.
He was wild. And, you know, some of your fans feel that he was being abusive to you. And maybe me a little too, and it's like they didn't get it, that it was just, I was throwing the barbs, I was throwing swords at him.
Yeah.
I mean, we were throwing knives back and forth, so they didn't see the whole thing where it was just like
We were trying, but he was teaching us something about writing. The other day I had that joke I told you, and you were able to shorten it down to just 2 very short lines, and mine was all explanative and stuff. But it's important to listen and make sure who you want to be taught by, because, look, there's so many people lying on the air to sell you a product that we're so used to it, we just figure it's rolling off our back, and it really isn't.
Well,
there's a lot of things we could just let go of right now that we were taught that were very subjective and very mean, very selfish.
And speaking of which, I want you to explain to us in a second about Rupert Murdoch and about the president and the Republicans. I think these are 2 issues. If you've got the time, I want to pick your brain on them.
Oh, wow.
But before we do so, I want that to percolate. I got to tell you something very exciting, which impacts Electric Lady Dream. Now, audience, Buzzy Linhart is putting together his music album as Electric Lady Dream. And it's ready to come out, right, Buzzy?
Yes, sir. It was originally called music in the first days. It was the only thing the group could agree upon. And enough said on that. At any rate, since it was recorded at Electric Lady, and since working at Jimi Hendrix's new $8 million studio in 1969 with the genius...
Which would be $30 million today, right? Easily.
Gosh.
$8 million in those in 1970, 69?
Well, it'd be hard to say. Now, remember in 1957, gas was 20 cents a gallon. A pack of cigarettes were 20 cents.
In 1971, gas was 25 cents a gallon. Come on. In 1971, until that whole,
They raised it up, and they shouldn't have.
But my point is about Electric Lady Dream. This is very exciting, Buzzy. I go to my mailbox yesterday, and in it are 3 original Deep Purple albums.
Wow. Is Tommy Bolin on them? He was in later, right?
No. This is the original Deep Purple when they did the Joe South song, Hush.
Will you name us all of the people? Because some masters came through that band. Will you name them for us, please, Joe?
Well, of course, there was, the great guitar player, Ritchie Blackmore.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was, on drums, Ian Pace, this was on the Tetragrammaton label. So Ian Pace did something with a symphony orchestra, which was the 4th Tetragrammaton album.
And what country was Tetragram label?
It was out of England.
It's England.
As you know, I reviewed these albums for AllMusic.com, so I'm very excited about re-reviewing them, right?
Was Ritchie British?
Yes, even though he lives in Connecticut now, and his girlfriend can be on our show.
Let's tell the people what years was the heyday of Deep Purple.
Well, this is very important. I'm glad you asked that, okay?
Okay.
Take the album Deep Purple, which had the cover of La Lania, the Donovan song. Okay.
Hey, la 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 Lania. Just kidding.
All right. So the album was recorded in January of 1969 at Delane Leo Studio in London, and a bonus track recorded in 69 at Abbey Road. So 1969, in January of 69, they recorded Deep Purple. Now Hush was the big hit. All right? So
yes, and who else was in the band? All Brits?
they were all Brits. Well, Rod Evans was the lead vocalist.
Okay.
So Blackmore was the guitar player. Rod Evans was the singer.
Streets of these guys, they were real young.
John Lord was the keyboard player. You know, that great keyboard player? And then Ian Pace was the drummer, I had mentioned.
Yes.
And Simper was the bassist, and then he was replaced later. And I should know the name of the guy who replaced him because I've seen the band so many times. I saw them back in '71.
I heard they hired Eason because they really wanted to keep pace.
Ian Pace, good one. But
2, 3, 4.
no, I'm looking for the song. So Lelania was the Deep Purple, and Shades of Deep Purple has Hush. Hush, hush, thought I heard her calling my name, now hush.
Well, I remember so well because that was about the same time that my first album came out, so I was hearing it, and of course it kind of makes you feel small when your record's being compared to that big. They were really a trendsetter as far as that sound.
But 1968, they did Hush, and they did Hey Joe, and they did Help, the Beatles' Help, a very slow version. Now, in my review in All Music, I noted that George Harrison was blasting the Vanilla Fudge album out of his house all summer long. Eleanor Rigby.
Yeah.
And I just taped the Vanilla Fudge. I just sent Mark Stein an email tonight because I sent him the taping at the Regent Theater. They're on their farewell tour, and they let me tape it. Now, Shadow Morton produced the Vanilla Fudge. Okay?
Yes, sir.
George Harrison is blasting it. Deep Purple copied what they were doing and then took it into another dimension. Totally amazing.
Yes. Well, that's what a band can. That's
They sound like a hybrid of the Vanilla Fudge meets like the Small Faces, a good British pop band, Itchy-Goo Park. So they straddle that line of progressive. Yes, with the pop sound of Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes.
Well,
And
remember at the time that how Motown, and I'm not saying rightfully so, because I still weep to half the Motown songs and get goosebumps, more than half, almost all. Who am I kidding? But what they were able to do with the great Diana Ross and the Supreme song, that alone. I mean, they made it a totally different thing. It's a secret of how to get a hit is to, if you got a company who's got enough money that you can pay 9 cents for every part of the song. You know, groups starting out, if you want to try to do an album of hits, for instance, it's not profitable because you have to pay so much out that it takes away from your profits.
But You Keep Me Hanging On became such a mega hit for Vanilla Fudge.
And it was so different. It was such a greasy, sleazy Italian vibrato, American white soul revamp of Take out my life, why don't you be?
Now, with all the good news about Deep Purple, I have some very sad news tonight.
Oh, no.
And it was delivered to us by our mutual friend, your dear friend, Genya Raven. The great Jerry Ragovoy passed on.
Oh, my God, the owner of the Hit Factory.
Stay with me, baby.
Oh, man, he started Chris Huston, the genius.
I mean, you know how I feel about Jerry Ragovoy. Get it while you can. He wrote all those Joplin songs that are amazing. Bette Midler did The Rose, and she did Stay With Me, Genya's big signature hit.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and Genya had your band, right? It was your guys backing her up, 10-Wheel Drive.
Yes, sir.
So your band did the Jerry Ragovoy tune, Stay With Me, which
I
Bette
never
Midler,
thought about that because we were so busy working I didn't get to hear. You know, maybe you could send me a copy of the old 10-Wheel Drive records.
Absolutely. Oh, in honor of Jerry Ragovoy, I'll send it out to you tomorrow.
God. Well, I was walking down in Battery Park in New York, Manhattan, the lower part of the island by the water, and, you know, in living there 17 years, I only got down there one time before that that I remember, and I'm walking down there in a really nice, great, clean-looking Brit with beautiful blonde hair, and he had a like a duffel bag. He had worked his way over on a steamer from Liverpool, where the Beatles had opened for him in the old days. Close the door, please, when I'm undressed. Thank you.
Hey, this is a family show. You can't be. You're naked while you're talking to us?
Undressed doesn't, for me, it means I'm not wearing 17 layers.
Okay.
Just got the basic 3 layers that can catch you from having cancer indoors.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So who was this Brit that you saw walking down the street in Greenwich Village?
He said, pardon me. No, he was definitely Liverpudlian. And, if you take that half a sandwich, there's a SpongeBob SquarePants.
If you gave that half a sandwich to Mama Cash, she'd be alive today.
I know, or if they hadn't. Although...
We're running out of time. Who was the Brit? Because you know who's at Yankee Stadium tonight.
Oh.
It ain't John Lennon, so what's the other guess?
Okay, Paul McCartney?
Yeah, Yankee Stadium.
How did I think I knew? Why did he not mention John Lennon once in the hour-and-a-half show that they did on PBS that was produced by Paul and Yoko? In an hour-and-a-half, no other writers were credited, and no one's name was printed at the end. It was probably coincidence. Is there one over there? It was Chris Huston, who was from a band called The Undertakers, who the Beatles had opened for. Chris went to art school with John, and he needed a place. He said, can I just sleep on your floor, please? He said, I have a degree in engineering. He said, I know that I can get a job straight away, and if you could just let me stay over a few days to a couple of weeks, I guarantee you that I can pay you rent and get out of there shortly. His first gig he applied to was to be engineer for Jerry Ragovoy at the Hit Factory.
Oh, wow.
Engineered all of the Rascals hits. He was the first engineer to ever get credit on 61 gold records, ending one of the last I know is all the series by War. And Chris Huston, Huston, he produced my song, It Hurts So Bad That It Must Be Love.
Chris produced that?
Yes, sir.
Wow, so he worked for Jerry. What a great story, Buzzy. I'm so glad we talked tonight. I mean, it just touches me that we have to talk about Jerry, you know?
And I got him his start in New York, and what is the odds of that, right?
That's the Shaka Pifi. Wow. You got Jerry
to London to open
an engineer
and meet the Beatles, because we were supposed to play at the opening of the Beatles' new club, The Revolution, in 1969 or 1968. Could it really be? Yes, it is. And hold on, Bill. We're on the radio in Massachusetts.
Well, Uncle Buzzy, I got to call Frank Delastrito, our movie critic, because we're running out of time.
Tell him I admire his work, and everybody buy Beatle.
Bela Lugosi's biographer. That's who he's.
Art from the artist. Boftra. Buy art from the artist. Print it on your record. Folks.
Put it on a sign. I'll talk to you soon, man.
We can make sure ours get money to do. Thank you, Joe. I love you. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Hi, everybody. This guy talks too much.
Get off. It's my turn.
No, mine.
The great Buzzy Linhart from The Cos Show, COZ. Before Bill Cosby had The Cosby Show.